Ahoy footy fans, the NRL is back. Well, just about. We're just a few days away from kickoff. The teams are over in Vegas, ready to roll, and we're ready to roll here. We're going to take a look at the opening couple of games and throw out a few tips and predictions. And by the way, if tips and predictions are your thing, if that's your bag, then feel free to jump onto wastedsports.com.au/games and you can join the official 2025 Wasted World of Sports tipping and fantasy leagues, completely free and all run through the official NRL website. So challenge the Wasted World of Sports crew at tipping and fantasy for the season ahead. Now, jumping straight into it, the first game of the 2025 Telstra Premiership, the Raiders versus the Warriors. Now, the Raiders, a couple of them have been naughty boys, haven't they? Hudson Young and Morgan Smithies involved in a little off-field drama, a little hotel biffo. They didn't want to share the same room or something along those lines. It actually reminded me a lot, if anyone's familiar with the movie Planes, Trains and Automobiles. There's a very specific scene that I'm thinking of there that story actually made me think of, and I had a good chuckle to myself.
I need one room.
Look, if you're pissed at me, maybe we should get separate rooms.
You get your own room.
Now, will the Raiders let this off-field drama distract them from the game against the Warriors? Only time will tell, but all eyes will be on the Warriors' new recruit, James Fisher-Harris. They've lost to Cronulla Blake, but they've gained a Fisher-Harris, and what a gain it is. And I think in terms of match predictions, he could be the difference maker in this game. Because, I mean, James Fisher-Harris, arguably the best forward in the game. So, down to Cronulla Blake, but up the premier forward in the park. James Fisher-Harris, he will give them lots of go forward. And I think that opens up the doors for somebody like a Wade Egan. Wade Egan could be a cheeky little try-scoring option. But the backs should thrive under that foundation set by Fisher-Harris and Barnett. And I'm just not sold on the Raiders. I know. I pick the Raiders to win the spoon every single year. They never do. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. Could it be my time to finally be right? And the Raiders, I think they overperformed last year. They did extremely well, given the circumstances. They overperformed, and I think they were helped by some severely underperforming teams around them. Like, I don't think anybody expected the Eels and the Rabbitohs, for example, to do just quite as badly as they did. The Broncos as well. So I think it could be a tough year for the Raiders. But then again, as I just said, I've been saying that every single year now for about the past 4 or 5. So time will tell. Games between these two teams are usually pretty close. The most recent games, I think, were only a 2-point margin and an 8-point margin. And I'm leaning towards that 8-point margin here for the Warriors. Look for them to get the victory somewhere around 20 points to 12. That's my bold prediction for this one. In terms of try-scoring options, the Warriors, I've talked about Wade Egan. I can't go past Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. He will be good value there. The Warriors, that is, they'll be looking to continue their attack to the edge. I mean, Watene Zelezniak was always my go-to, but he's not here now. And I just think that maybe the attack shifts to the more experienced edge of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. I've got him locked in anytime try. Now, the big benefit that the Raiders have is speed. I always say it during the streams, you can't teach speed. Speed is just a blessing. It's something that you have, and the Raiders certainly know how to utilize it. And I think the Warriors' tradition of falling asleep through certain periods of the game, Fisher-Harris can only do so much like when Stephen Crichton first went to the Bulldogs. It took a year or two for that influence to sweep throughout the entire team. So old habits die hard, as they say, and Xavier Savage, if we want to talk about quick players who know how to use their speed to their benefit, I'm going to throw down on that. And as we were talking about just before, Hudson Young and Morgan Smithies involved in an off-field incident. Hudson Young, this could be the issue that sparks him into gear. Used to be a prolific try scorer. I remember going back a few seasons, Hudson Young was always in my SGM, raring to go, and he would very often come through. Needs to find that form again. Could this off-field incident be the spark? Could he use this to drive him with an extra intensity into this game on Sunday. I feel like it could happen. He also loves a good try against the Warriors. He scored 2 last time out. Bring it on, Hudson Young. Moving on now to the main event of the day, the Panthers versus the Sharks. Dylan Edwards and Nathan Cleary were both racing the clock. Seems like they're both fit. They've both been named in the starting team. Casey McLean is somebody that I've got my eyes on. I have talked this kid up all preseason, and also he was a sneaky little pickup in my NRL fantasy team. Cheap as chips for a backline player. And I picked him up in the centres as well, but he will play predominantly the wing. He gets first crack anyway, and I think he will make this spot his own, much in the way the Panthers factory just keeps producing. Taruva, Alamotti, these are 2 players that nobody expected anything out of. They've come into the Panthers system, and they've shone on the big stage. I mean, Taruva was one of the prime wingers of season 2024. So I'm looking for Casey McLean to essentially do the same. I've got a theory that you could put me, and this might be a little bit of exaggeration too, but I've got a theory you could put me on the end of that Panthers backline or that Panthers team, slot me in there somewhere, and I'm probably going to earn some valuable fantasy points for your squad. Such is the Panthers system. They are that good. They will continue to be that good, and I'm actually looking at Casey McLean, maybe even a little smoky for the top try scorer of the tournament, but that's neither here nor there. Talking in terms of this game, Casey McLean, look for him to score a try against this Sharks unit. Jack Cole gets first crack at 5'8", which is disappointing for Blaze Talangi. Talangi was brought in specifically to fill that role. He's nursing a little bit of an injury niggle at the moment, so Jack Cole gets first crack there, and probably not a bad decision really, even if Blaze wasn't injured. Maybe not a bad call. The spectacle that is the Vegas trip. A little more stability there with Jack Cole and Nathan Cleary having played together before. A little more stable in that selection either way. So it was forced upon them, but who knows? I'm just suggesting maybe they would have done it anyway. Who knows? Now for the Panthers, look, try scoring threats all over the park. I've already talked about Casey McLean. Look for Nathan Cleary's little kicks in behind the line. He loves a little dab in behind the line, and the Sharks, we know from the finals last year, very, very susceptible to it. Will Kennedy, I'm not sold on his positional play, his defensive play. I think Nathan Cleary will be peppering Kennedy all night long, keeping him honest with those kicks in behind the line. So that brings in Liam Martin, who scored the try in the finals last year, and Lindsay Smith, Scott Sorensen. I mean, take your pick. It's a 3-way there. Any number. Sorry, I'm such a child. 3 options there to be picked from. Smith, Sorensen, Liam Martin. I've just got a feeling that because in the final series last year, the kick was down the right-hand edge in behind the Sharks' defense, that maybe, just maybe, they'll be waiting for it. So Nathan, being Nathan, will switch it up and go left. So maybe not Liam Martin, maybe more Lindsay Smith on this occasion. For the Sharks, their attacking threats took a little bit of a setback. Sione Katoa has been ruled out with shoulder surgery, and he's going to be out for quite some time. But not all is lost, Sharks fans. Don't you worry. Samuel Stonestreet is an absolute gun, and he has been named as Sione Katoa's replacement on the wing, which we expected. Stonestreet is a good option for bagging a try, but I think the attacking threat needs to be on the left-hand edge, because the Panthers in 2024 and 2023, not so much in 2022, it seems to be a more recent thing. A multitude of tries have been going down their right edge defense. And I've always had question marks over Isaac Tungo. Now, in fairness, this is not necessarily his problem. I know that for large parts of 2024, he was nursing a shoulder injury. And if you're talking about defense and you're carrying a shoulder niggle, the last thing you want to do is just go flying in and drop the shoulder into guys. So I completely understand, but just quite a few times he was found just clutching, shirt grabbing, not looking to put a hit on, just grabbing the player. And I saw it a couple of times in the grand final in 2023 as well. So it's no surprise, really. And I'm not blaming Isaac Tungo for the right edge defense. There's obviously players around him. It's a more universal thing. But most of the Panthers' points, when tries do get scored against them, on the rare occasion they do, it is that right edge of defense that teams have been taking advantage of, which brings into play Kiel Iro. I think Kiel Iro or Ronaldo Mulatalo, that will be where the big try-scoring threat lies for the Sharks. They also love that sweeping play. You've got your backs looping around the outside of Nico and Braden Trindle, and a cheeky little short ball into Nikora and Britton Nikora. Or Teague Wilton could factor in as well for your try scorers in this game. In terms of a prediction for this one, overall, I think the Panthers will be too strong, but round one is the best time to get them. And here is an interesting little sidebar. 2023 round one. 2023 round one. The Broncos got the win over the Panthers in a close one. What was the grand final that year? 2024, the Melbourne Storm in round one defeat the Penrith Panthers. What was the grand final that year? Now, I'm not saying that the Sharks are going to make the grand final. They need to win first, but if they do get the win here, recent history suggests that maybe the Sharks are set up for a very good season if they can jag the victory. That being said, I'm not expecting them to. I do think the Panthers will be too strong, and I have the Panthers winning this, maybe a tight game for 60 minutes or so, and then ultimately running away with it in the back end. I've got the Panthers winning this somewhere in the region of, say, 26 points to 14 or thereabouts. So there you go, Wasted World of Sports, Dan's predictions. What say you? Let me know in the comments. Who are you going for? Who have you got winning? By how much? Who are your try scorers for the weekend? And don't forget, if you would like to put these tips and predictions into practice and challenge the Wasted World of Sports crew, wastedsports.com.au/games, our official website. It's got links to all our free-to-join tipping and fantasy leagues for the season of 2025. Hope that you can join us. And, of course, our live commentary of the streams all gets underway bright and early on Sunday morning with the Raiders versus the Warriors. And, of course, the Panthers taking on the Sharks later that afternoon. Links to those videos can be found, hopefully, here. Because if they're not, if the links aren't available there, and I haven't got around to setting it up, and more for me, but then I'm looking like a complete idiot waving my arms about there. So hopefully that's all up and running. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me here for this little prediction video. Something a little bit different. We don't normally do these, or haven't done for quite some time. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you bright and early for kickoff on Sunday. Looking forward to it. The NRL's back. Bring it on. Cheers.